So yeah, thank you for starting the recording, Aditya. So let's keep going here. As I said, I am Vivek from CellStrat. We are a AI company based in US and Bangalore, and we are interested in AI consulting. So we have some clients across the world in this space, and we are also interested in healthcare AI innovation. So we are making some products in this space, right? Applying the power of Gen AI to healthcare. So today's webinar is actually targeted for doctors and medical students. So let me do a quick survey. Is there any medical professional here or not? You can do a thumbs up if you're a medical professional or write in chat, either which ways. So I suspect we got our usual tech audience, but at least one thumbs up. So thank you for joining. So we welcome both sides of the pond. We welcome the healthcare professionals as well as the tech professionals who are interested in healthcare AI. Okay, anybody else from healthcare or all are technical only? Okay, all right, let's keep going. So even if it is a technical professional, I guess everybody is interested in healthcare or personal healthcare, if you will. So let me show you the healthcare AI products we are developing, and we seek your feedback on that. So this is a workshop where we'll focus on the hands-on activity only. It's not a training class per se. I don't have any PPT today. I'll be just showing you what is prompt engineering and how you can do prompt engineering, in case of healthcare specifically. Any questions before I start? Okay. Let me open the. So I would like to showcase the case study of diabetes, particularly around prompt engineering with our chatbot, which is called CellBot. But let me go step by step. Okay. So I'll share my screen now. So I can see that most are AI professionals here, at least one medical expert. Let's see what the audience thinks. So we are, as I said, we are CellStrat, which is a overall an AI company, and so far our primary business has been in developing, AI solutions, or specifically Gen AI solutions now mostly for global clients, including some US clients, right? So that has been the primary business model so far. So, but we developed significant AI expertise while doing this over the last 7 years, and we have a YouTube channel where you can see our almost 400, 500 webinars on our YouTube channel, right? So that's why we have one of the largest communities in AI coming from India specifically, more than 18,000 professionals in AI. So about 1 year back, we said Gen AI is coming very strong. Let's use Gen AI for some interesting innovations, and we choose healthcare as our primary, domain to focus on. So let me show you our healthcare portal. So in terms of services, we can handle all kinds of AI solutions, but for for domain-centric product innovation, we have chosen healthcare as our battleground. So this is our upcoming healthcare platform. It's called CellVerse, right? CellVerse is about a universe of healthcare solutions, and so it takes on, cell, which is a biological entity, as well as metaverse or universe. So it's a platform for healthcare innovation using AI specifically. So we are saying we'll revolutionize healthcare intelligence with power of Gen AI and technologies. So, I mean, as you all will agree that healthcare is ripe for disruption. It is very, very underpenetrated with technology overall, let alone AI, right? Even in advanced countries like Western Europe or United States, you don't see as much tech adoption by the healthcare community as some of the other industries, such as e-commerce, retail, financial services, etc. So, and healthcare is a pressing need for human society, right? With uh, the US global healthcare spend is around 20 trillion GD, $20 trillion. So, so it is a massive area, and still a large population of the world is bereft of quality healthcare due to multitude of reasons. So the list of reasons is very long. Either it's the cost factor or lack of healthcare professionals, or lack of allied health professionals, right? Or a lot of diseases like cancer are still unsolved, right? So healthcare is data rich. It is ripe for disruption, and there are very few doctors and nurses in the entire world, let alone in developing countries. And so it is a pressing human need, and that is why we decided to tackle. We said if AI cannot help in a critical domain like healthcare, then what's the point of AI, right? So this is an urgent human need, and this is a chosen domain where we are developing products, right? So feel free to share your thoughts, ask questions, or let's make this a conversation. It is not meant to be a training. It is more of a conversation with the healthcare community and the consumer community on how AI can intervene in healthcare. Okay, so one of our initial products is CellBot, which I'll demo, and I'll tell you about how you can do prompt engineering. Then we have few other, products coming up. We have a healthcare marketplace coming up. You can see some of the early adopters of the chatbot and their good feedback, which is coming in. So still, product is work in progress, but with help of our user community and our massive AI community, we are growing this platform. So one of our efforts is to create a marketplace of healthcare AI applications, which you can see here. So this is still a sort of a dummy page, but very soon we'll have some demo recorded here for some of the apps. So we have been doing hackathons like a Docathon and Ideathon. So Docathon is one of our brands which we have created for where we combine doctors with engineering professionals for a competitive hackathon. It includes certification and prize money. And we also have the concept of an ideathon where we partner with a medical college, and we mentor the doctors in a medical college on AI interventions on their problem statements, right? So we have this idea of docathon, ideathon, cellverse hackathon, which we have been conducting, which some of you are aware of. So let me go to our course portfolio. We have courses in healthcare AI, which you can find on our MLOps platform, CellStrat Hub. We have a course in Gen AI for bioinformatics, Gen AI in healthcare project series, and we have other AI courses like MLDL, Gen AI, and LLM Ops. And we have a course on Gen AI for healthcare professionals, a non-technical course for doctors, and accelerating drug discovery with Gen AI project course as well. Right. So we are basically doing multiple things in healthcare, including courses, product development, a series of webinars, right, blogs, and so on. Right. And we are working with many medical colleges now, and we are developing these products with guidance of our community and the participation of our community. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So let's continue to our product, which I wanted to, show the prompt engineering around. So you can also reach this by type, www.cellbot.ai. So I encourage you to go ahead and and try this product right now. This is meant to be a workshop, not a one-way training class. Go ahead and you can sign up with a single sign-on with your Google login on cellbot.ai, or you can create a login password as well. So let me actually log out and show you the full stack experience. So since I am now logged out, if I try to go to cellbot.ai, it will ask me to create a login. So I mean, I already have a login, so I can basically just sign in, but you all can try this yourself, and you can sign on with a Google's single sign-on account. I think there's a cellbot.ai. Okay, thank you, Aditya. Okay. So let me continue with my Google sign-on. Right, so it will ask me to get access to my Google account. So I'm now signed in, which you can see here. Right, I'm signed in as my primary Gmail account. I can choose to manage my account, for example, changing password or email, phone number, etc. The phone number is optional, but email is mandatory. Okay, and you see a screen like this, which is a little bit like ChatGPT. So this is, I mean, as I said, this product is still work in progress, but we seek your or solicit your feedback, how you feel about it when you ask your medical questions here, what kind of responses you are expecting, are you getting them, and so on and so forth. Right. So it is still work in progress. We need the community to help us, or guide us rather, what they want to see in this product, and if they are happy with the answers it's giving currently. So the first question is, what is CellBot, right? So CellBot is a medical information bot, very similar to ChatGPT. And the idea of CellBot is to uh, create a specialized experience for medical professionals and medical students, right? Now, granted, it doesn't detect if you are a consumer, patient, or IT professional. It has no such limitation. Anybody can use CellBot, but indeed, the primary target audience so far is doctors and students. Over time, we will build personas for consumers and patients as well. And not that it can't answer today. If you were to ask a question around personal healthcare, it will do pretty well. Uh, Now, you may want to compare it with ChatGPT. So far, I would say it's somewhat equivalent. In some cases, the answer of CellBot will be better than ChatGPT, or the other way around. That's what I said. It's still work in progress, and give us some time, and we will have this a highly specialized bot, which will have a quantum difference from ChatGPT in terms of a superior healthcare experience. So our view is that these horizontal companies like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini or Anthropic, Claude, they are interested in, of course, the broad chatbot experience, but we haven't seen a powerful healthcare, bot designed specifically for, either for medical community or the patients for that matter. There are a lot of startup attempts in these segments, but we haven't seen a real clear breakout winner or a very powerful bot which can really solve the job. So we are still in this journey of solving this. So bear with us, but I feel free to try it and send us. Okay. Any questions so far? So this is a beta release, and in the beta release, it's a free tool. There's no charge required. So we are giving 20 messages daily free. So you want to definitely use your messages judiciously. If you just say hi, then that it will basically count as one message, right? So use the prompt judiciously. Now, if you are using it actively, you run out of your daily message quota, reach out to us. We'll definitely give you extra message quota just for keeping our costs control. At the moment, we are giving 20 messages free. Okay, so far so good. No questions. Okay. Okay, so let me try some questions here. Okay, so I'll try the most simplest of things. So I'm acting like a consumer, right? I'm acting like a consumer. So I have a headache. How do I fix it? So very simple question. And you can see it creates a new untitled chat on the left. As you keep talking to it, it would automatically name the, it will name the chat automatically, right? So it is what this bot does, it basically mines specialized healthcare repositories such as PubMed, WebMD, NIH, as opposed to ChatGPT or Perplexity, which will scan the internet as a whole. And this will mine specialized, healthcare repositories. So there's a thinking process. It shows you the thinking process. So the very first thing it did was it compressed my question. Let me just let it finish this answer. Yeah. So let me explain this answer. So this is what we call as a prompt. Those of you who have not exposed to chatbots and prompts yet, a prompt is simply a question a user might ask. Now, the thing why we call this webinar is prompt engineering. The way you ask this question matters a lot. And I'll show you some variations of how you ask this question. You might think it's simple human style conversation. I mean, it is meant to be a natural human language conversation. But the way you ask this question, how you concatenate your prompt or formulate your prompt can dramatically change the answer. So that is why we call this subject as prompt engineering. Now, prompt engineering has sophisticated algorithms, how you concatenate the prompt. And we are not expecting doctors, patients, or medical students to master the concept of prompt engineering, but a few simple techniques can help get interesting answers, which I'll show you. Okay, so once I ask this prompt or a question, it basically shows a thinking process, right? What it did first was it took my question, it created a search phrase, if you will. And the search phrase it concatenated was or generated was headache treatment and relief. So it used this prompt because it could have been a very long form question for all you know, right? It first creates a search phrase. Then it matches the search phrase with its designated medical sources. And it tries to find those sources from the pre-authorized list of healthcare sources where this answer is likely to be found. So in this case, it found three sources: Mayo Clinic, WebMD, and Healthline, where this answer may have been addressed. And then it shows finished thinking process. So let's shrink this. Then from those three sources, the relevant articles which it found, it generates this answer using the LLM technology or large language model technology. So I hope you understood the process. Let me know if you have any questions. I can ask a simple prompt or a complex or long form prompt. First job is to create a search phrase which will summarize the question. In this case, it turned out to be that headache treatment and relief is what it arrived at after transforming my prompt into this search phrase. Then using this search phrase, it scanned the websites which we have pre-designed, which we have pre-listed in our program. Because it is meant to be specialized in healthcare, it will not go to the general internet at large. And then it found three good sources out of the pre-listed list of sources. Then it sends this phrase with the system prompt and augmented with the search phrase to these three sources and specific articles where it thinks this answer can be found, and then it generates the answer, right? So this is also called the in LLM word. For those of you who are technically oriented, this technique is called RAG, retrieval augmented generation, right? So it embeds the articles in a vector store, and then it does a cosine similarity match. So I will not get into the data science tech of it, because this webinar is specifically meant for doctors and medical students and possibly patients who may be interested. So, or consumers, if you will. Patient word doesn't sound too nice. Let's say consumers. So you can say headache relief depends on the type and cause of your headache, but here are general approaches, right? So it is giving you answer. Now, clearly you will say, well, I can get this answer or better, maybe from ChatGPT or others, by all means. So our goal is to help you if you are getting better answers from ChatGPT, by all means. But over time, our goal is to give you a more specialized medical bot, and which because we developed this product based on a market survey by a medical professional, that they said we are not able to get highly specialized healthcare answers from general chatbots like ChatGPT. And that was the reason we started on this journey, right? Because we got a specific feedback from a lot of medical professionals. They want a more specialized experience, which common chatbots do not offer. Okay. So now it gives the answer. And if you, it also gives citations, by the way. It tells you exactly which article this particular answer was generated from. So when it comes to Mayo Clinic, this was the specific article it had detected where this answer can be found, right? So this was one of the pages it embedded, it instrumented, if you will, to create the answer. This was the Mayo Clinic page. This was the WebMD blog or page which it instrumented for generating this answer. Now, data science friends here may find this trivial. So I understand that. As I said, the goal of this webinar was to help our medical friends do all this. For them, these things may still be possibly be something they have not yet tried. But for data scientists, what I'm describing is maybe elementary. So Healthline is the third source. It found an article where this question could possibly get answered, right? So it took these three pages and it instrumented them in what we call as a vector store in our cloud, and then it generated the answer as given above, right? So this was the process of response generation, somewhat similar to what ChatGPT will do for you, but ChatGPT will scan the broad internet, and in this process, at times dilute the answer, and healthcare professionals are not completely satisfied with what they get from general chatbots. Okay, so the other thing we do here is we also uh, give you follow-on questions, right? We guide the healthcare professional what could be the next set of questions, right? So my question was, I have a headache, how do I fix it? Now, a very common question which often, what is the difference between a tension headache and migraine, right? So let's click on this one. So now it will go through the same process for this follow-on question. Of course, I could have typed my own question, right? So it is able to answer the next question as well. Again, the same process. Okay. And again, you can see the sources where the answer was pulled from, right? So we are adding a lot more product capabilities into this. So you will see over next couple of weeks and months, a very interesting new capabilities, which you will benefit from and which you may not find in general bots. Now, there are a few other things here. We are interested in a user feedback loop, right? So you can choose to mark it as good response, submits the feedback, response marked as helpful, or you can choose to mark it as a bad response. So we really want you to do this so that we get your feedback. We are monitoring your responses, by the way, in our cloud platform. Whatever responses sent by here, our system is monitoring it, so we can adopt the feedback in the product. You can also write comments here, by the way. So if you click on this flag, you can comment. Again, you can say helpful or unhelpful. So I can say, well, let me be positive about it. Good answer. Love to learn, love to try this product further. Yeah, so this I'm being positive about the whole thing. You can choose your pick, what you want to be, positive or unhelpful. Give us critical feedback. We really appreciate critical feedback. If you find somebody is a power user of this platform, we are very happy to increase your prompt quota, daily prompt quota. So just reach out to us that I'm using this platform. I have run out of my quota. We'll give you a lot more prompt quota. We want active users and we want to get your feedback. The more feedback you give, the more prompts we'll try to give you. I mean, eventually there'll be a subscription plan, but for in this beta phase, for the initial beta users, this will remain free to a large extent, right? Because there are substantial cloud costs we are investing in here, and we want to support our beta users, but we are so affording the cloud cost at our best. So, any questions you would like me to ask? And you can, of course, copy this and paste it in a Word doc or Notepad. There are a lot many more interesting features coming up. So over time, when we do next such sessions, we will be demonstrating new features as they are launched, right? Okay, let me switch to Google Meet for a while and see if there are any questions here. I'm just seeing the chat here. Thank you, Giovanni. Appreciate the kind feedback. And Vivek, I noticed the medical infos are taken in UK NIH. Okay. I'll just check with my team after this webinar. If US NIH is included or not. If it is not, it should be included. Nice platform, Bhakti. Thank you, Bhakti. Okay, any other questions or prompts before I continue?
Vivek, sir.
Yeah, yes, Durgesh.
I just had a doubt. So, what makes this product better than ChatGPT? So, what I have seen is like ChatGPT doesn't have that ethics and privacy to go deep dive into doctors' research. For example, like if there is some person who had an accident and doesn't want anyone to use this ChatGPT to help solve that issue. So to avoid that further prevention, they just gave some basic or general information to ChatGPT. So does this product has that ethics and privacy to use that kind of information, or it provide that things?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think there are many sub questions to your question. So for your first prompt was, is this better than ChatGPT? So I have personally tried it. Uh, can you hear me fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in some cases, uh, I find the answers of ChatGPT are more comprehensive, and in some cases, CellBot gives better answers. So that's why I said it's a work in progress. The problem statement we are trying to solve is create a much more deeper, much more substantive, LLM bot specifically for medical professionals and possibly for the healthcare users such as patients. But currently, yes, indeed, I think the answers are comparable or at times superior or inferior compared to ChatGPT. So give us some time. Our commitment is to create a more powerful bot, which will far outperform the ChatGPT user experience, right? So that is a goal, but we are still in middle of that journey. That was the first part of your question. The second was about ethics and guardrail, right, or privacy controls. So
Yeah.
indeed, so here, as I said, we are only taking answers from highly reputed, healthcare sites. So clearly, there'll be guardrails around very authentic medical information being provided, because we are only instrumenting the most reputed sites such as WebMD, Mayo Clinic, or NIH, NHS, etc. Right? So we'll continue to improve the guardrails because the healthcare is a very sensitive area, and you can't possibly have any misses here or mishaps. And
Exactly.
we have given a disclaimer on the product. This product cannot replace the advice of your authorized healthcare provider. So our goal is not to take risks and render medical advice. We are not proposing that we will replace your authorized medical provider. If you see the homepage of CellBot, there is a very clear, warning or disclaimer that please do not use it for healthcare advice. This is generic healthcare information. Okay. I don't know if that answered all parts of your question, Durgesh. Did I?
Y- Yes, sir, it answer.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Okay. If there are no other questions, let me continue further. Okay. So I hope everybody understood what is a prompt, what is a LLM chatbot, uh, how it it finds the matching articles, right? In case of CellBot specifically, and not ChatGPT may have slightly different, functionality, which I am not going to discuss here. For us, we are instrumenting the pre-decided list of authorized or highly reputed healthcare websites. We are compressing your long form question into a phrase, and we are using that phrase as a semantic search term to find the matching articles in those authorized websites. And then we are instrumenting those pages on those authorized sites to give the answer to this summarized question or prompt form, and then generating the answer. And we are giving you a feedback loop capability, thumbs up, thumbs down, as well as a comment. And we are also giving you follow-on questions which you can likely ask. Right. So this is how CellBot works. ChatGPT has slightly different functionality, but I'm not going to discuss that here because ChatGPT is in the business of scanning the whole internet, not authorized sites only. Okay. So our goal is to create a highly specialized. Actually, it will be a multi-agent experience. So what is this word agent, which we see here in the AI word nowadays? Those of you are not exposed to data science. And agent is a technology system which will do certain task for you. So think of like a receptionist or a diabetic agent, right? Or somebody who will order grocery for you. So agent is a representation of a technical system which can replace a human worker, right? Or you can outsource your tasks to an agent or a IT agent, the AI agent specifically, and it will do that task for you. So agents come in all shapes and forms. These are, of course, in our word, they are software systems or AI-centric software systems which use the power of LLM for generalized human style intelligence, and there are a variety of agents to do various tasks such as creating a PPT, ordering grocery, managing your diabetes protocol, right, or or even booking a air ticket for you, right? So this is what we imply when we say an agentic AI system. So in CellBot also we are, bringing right now it's a simple agent. What CellBot is, we are building a multi-agent architecture where it will be able to do much more specialized healthcare tasks for you, right? So that is still up and coming. Okay, so I hope you got a sense of what is a AI agent. An AI agent is a very hot term this year. So this is the new thing in AI, the new hot thing, agentic AI, if you will. Okay, we have a dedicated course in agentic AI if anybody wants to undertake. But yeah, more of our courses are meant for technical professionals. But we do have some courses for healthcare professionals, AI healthcare professionals. Okay, if there are no questions, let me continue further. I'll share my screen again. Okay, all right. Okay, where was my cell? What? Yeah. So let me start a new chat, right? Because I was talking about headache and generally, right? So now so you want to start a new chat, you just click on this and you can see two personas here. There is a medical researcher persona, a doctor, a medical student, pharma student, and so forth. And there's also a pharmacological, persona. So you can ask questions around that or this, right? Like that. So there are two different personas covered here. There is a disclaimer here that CellBot offers research-based information to aid medical professional. They should be critically evaluated and verified through authoritative sources before clinical application. It does not replace professional judgment or continuing medical education. So this is not to be taken as a medical diagnosis, and that's a disclaimer there, just so that people are clear that this cannot replace the authorized sources of information, either for doctors or for patients. Okay, so now we talked about prompt, we talked about agent, we talked about chatbot, we talked about instrumenting information sources for purpose of chatting with them, right? So we talked about a lot of GenAI concepts in basic simple language. Now you can see, I can see the history as well. So that's another feature. So I can open my past chat histories here, if you notice, right? So I can open my past chat histories and I can continue to talk to them, right? So that feature is also provided. And uh, okay, yeah. So, okay, there's some error here. So I was chatting about headache just now. So I can pull it back up and talk to it. I can resume talking with that one. And or I can, yeah, right now it's not able to load history. I have to check with the backend team, but let's start a new chat. And I want to discuss the use case I mentioned, right, in the webinar, which is diabetes. So what I had done some research on diabetes. I came up with certain prompts because I am not a domain expert, unfortunately. So I'm still beginning to learn about the vast area of healthcare. I am a data scientist, but I'm beginning to learn about the area of healthcare, and we are partnering with a lot of medical colleges and hospitals to kind of co-create these products with us and teach us about healthcare, because without the doctor's advice we can't do justice to it. So I prepared some questions. Let me ask, like, since we wanted to show the diabetes case study, let me ask this question. Okay, let me refresh it. Okay, and I'm going to ask this question. Explain the concepts of diabetes distress and diabetes burnout. What is the direct impact of these psychosocial factors on a patient's adherence to their diabetes management plan? So obviously you can tell by the description, it's about something to do with a diabetic person getting distressed or burnt out. And what is the impact on this? on physiological, or psychological situation of the patient, and how they manage their diabetes. Because diabetes, as you know, requires a long-term management plan, right? There is no specific cure for diabetes. People take insulin and whatnot and have to do very a good diet control and physical activity plan to manage their diabetes. So these terms come up, which has to do with person getting distressed or burn out by the act of diabetes management. Let's see what this says. So this is a bit complex question. It sometimes I have noticed the complex questions, it does take 2 to 3 minutes of thinking time. When I asked I have a headache, it was slightly simple, but this is a more complex question. It answered pretty quickly this time, but at times it does take up to 2 minutes, I have noticed, because it has to find the matching answers, right? So the thinking process involved, again, as I described before, it compressed the prompt into a short form prompt or a search query, if you will. Diabetes distress and diabetes burnout impact on adherence to diabetes management program, right? So that is what it compressed my slightly longer question into. It found matching information on US government's, NIH websites, which you can see, nis.gov, right? National Institute of Health is one of the very reputed US government institution, which is in the business of healthcare for global consumers, in fact. And so it starts discussing the answer. Diabetes distress and diabetes burnout are two related but distinct psychosocial concepts affecting people with diabetes, particularly type 1, type 2 diabetes. Distress refers to emotional burdens and worries specific to managing diabetes. It includes feeling of fear, such as fear of hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia, I believe, refers to fact if you take more insulin and your sugar level drops to a life-threatening level, right? Or maybe that's hyperglycemia. Hypoglycemia is when sugar shoots high. One of my doctors one time for my family member told me low sugar is more dangerous than high sugar. High sugar is a slow killer and low sugar is an instant killer. So if a person sugar drops below, I believe around figure of 70, 80 or 60, 70, it can become life threatening. Some of the body organs can fail, I was told. So I believe that is called, I think that's hyperglycemia, and one of them refers to high sugar, the other refers to low sugar. And then such as fear of high sugar or low sugar, frustration, anger, feeling overwhelmed by regimen. So, the diabetes management regimen can be grueling for those patients, right? It's hard to not eat good food or work out, or the guilt conscious of not working out, right? And not able to participate in social gatherings like parties with good food and so forth, right? Not able to take sweets. And so, I mean, not working out. So a lot of emotional burden comes with the actual medical burden. And that is what they refer to as diabetes distress. Or they are not satisfied with the healthcare providers, or diabetes patients sometimes tend to change their doctors because they are not satisfied with the treatment protocol. It is not a psychiatric disorder, but reflects ongoing emotional stress, right? Burnout is similar, what is describing here, but diabetes burnout refers to exhaustion. I'm tired of following this protocol. There is big overlap between diabetes distress and burnout, but there is a slight technical difference. Burnout is exhaustion, tired, or apathetic, and they just lose it, and they no longer want to follow the management protocol, and risking diabetes escalation. So burnout is more severe state that may arise from prolonged diabetes distress, right? So distress is an initial emotional challenge, and burnout is when they get truly exhausted. And in both these cases, the risk is they will let go of the management protocol and lead to diabetes escalation problems. So depression, it can lead to depression. They both don't qualify as depression, but it can lead to mental depression, which needs psychiatric intervention then, right? So we all have to be very health cognizant and avoid, these kind of diseases. Many people get affected by this in old age, and all of us are at risk of that because of our lifestyles and so forth, right? So anyway, that is a different discussion. So direct impact of diabetes, distress, and burnout on adherence to diabetes management is significant. These psychosocial factors are associated with reduced motivation, energy, feeling of hopelessness, detachment, increased risk of poor glycemic control, and complications due to non-adherence. So you can see it gives a pretty decent answer. So diabetes distress is an emotional stress, whereas diabetes burnout is a state of exhaustion. Right? Again, it gives the sources. Let's see one of these sources. Right? So it gives you the specific source if you want to see that. So it's this is called a citation, and you can have it also suggest follow-on questions. So how can healthcare providers effectively screen for diabetes, distress, and burnout? Let's ask this question. How will healthcare providers detect either of these? So you can see the thinking process. So it says that validated screening instruments. So they are specialized instruments. So they have some techniques how to measure the diabetes distress level or burnout level, right? So doctors here can attest to this better than what I can. Not a medical expert here. Okay. I mean, certainly I use this tool not only as an entrepreneur and running this company CellStrat and owning this product CellBot, I also use it for personal healthcare advice, right? So for me and my family, I use it almost daily basis nowadays for personal healthcare advice. So you can see it does pretty well, right? Now, granted, I have not tried to compare with ChatGPT. Probably ChatGPT may give similar answers, better or worse, I don't know. But I want to use this product and see if it helps me and my family, which I do on a daily basis for a variety of things. The thing about healthcare is something is always going on in the family or extended family, right? So we almost daily basis we have to answer certain questions. Okay, so that was that. Now let me show you some advanced techniques in prompt engineering. So one was you can ask this question, right, which I did. Now there is a technique called chain of thought prompting. Now I'm not expecting if some of you are medical professionals to master these enhanced techniques, but still just for maybe curiosity purpose, I'll show you. One technique is called chain of thought prompting. So what this means, chain of thought, it means how humans think. So how would human think when considering the long-term engagement of a chronic condition? It is crucial to understand psychological burden on patients. First, precisely define distress and diabetes burnout, differentiating between two. Why are they distinct yet related constructs? Next, elaborate on direct mechanism through which each of these psychological, for instance, what cognitive emotional processes might be. So basically, same question, but asked in a more long form way. So how humans will sort of logically think about it, right? So this is, as the term suggests, chain of thought. It's like the human chain of thought, right? So you, as a question asking person, can give a more detailed question. This can at times dramatically change the output. That's what I was telling you in the beginning. The way you ask the question can alter the chatbot response, right? I mean, this is more of what data scientists, IT engineers will do. But if some doctors or medical students can with some practice learn these enhanced techniques, they can get more interesting answers in certain situations. So this is just one of many techniques. Let me now put this there and see what happens, right? So, I mean, maybe it will be similar. As I said, not always it will improve the answer, but at times it will give very interestingly much more deeper answer because the way you asked it was also a deeper technique. So now I am asking it a long form question, as you can notice. So now it will try to alter the answer based on your thought process, which you gave in chain of thought. So here I gave a chain of thought prompt. So based on how you wanted it to answer, it will alter the answer, right? Now, as I said, not always you may notice a difference, but sometimes the answers can be very interestingly different. Okay. So you have to give it a chain of thought. Okay. Okay, let me show you one more technique before I open it for questions again. Uh, Let me augment this. So this technique is called few shot prompting. Now, again, I am not expecting medical professionals to master this specific technique. Few shot prompting is when we give an example, basically. So you give it one shot, one example is called one shot prompting. You give it more than one example, we call it few shot prompting, right? Okay, so let's try this. Let me make this a more comprehensive prompt by adding an example and see if the answer changes in some ways. As I said, not always the answer will be changed, but sometimes the answer changes or becomes more interesting in much better ways. So if you notice here, because I gave a few shot example, specifically a one shot example, there was one example given. A patient who manages their diabetes diligently for 20 years suddenly feels exhausted and indifferent to their self-care. They start missing medication doses and appointments stating, I just can't do this anymore, right? So the patient gives up on diabetes management plan after diabetes management burnout, right? They are exhausted of the following the plan. So here in the answer, it will actually, it is now giving an example of its own. So this, then it is classifying this particular example is the same example given in the prompt itself. This exemplifies burnout, where an emotional fatigue leads to disengagement from management of diabetes. So it is basically classifying the one-shot example I gave it. It is saying this will qualify as burnout, not necessarily as diabetes distress. Okay. So, in data science, AI ML, what we used to say in recent year or so, the most important new programming language of the world is now English, right? The way you formulate your prompt can impact the kind of answer you can expect. So customizing this prompt in certain ways can get you interestingly different output. Any questions? Very quiet crowd, so I am assuming it's okay so far. Okay, all right. So let me do a survey again. We have any medical professionals on the call? We had one in the beginning. Do we have any more? Okay, all right. So let's see some more examples. Okay, so I have, as I said, since I am not domain expert, I had prepared a list of questions. Yeah, let's ask this one. Discuss the fear of hypoglycemia. Describe the specific compensatory behaviors this fear can drive in patients and the resulting long-term health consequences. Fear of hypoglycemia is a significant concern. Next, trace the logic. How does this fear directly provide detailed example of the behavior finding usually explain the long-term health. Okay. Okay, so hypoglycemia does refer to the low blood sugar problem, as I suspected. So this patient with the FOH condition, fear of hyperglycemia mental condition, consistently eats extra snacks before exercise, even when their blood glucose is stable to avoid potential loss. So the patient has a fear of hypoglycemia. And what is hypoglycemia? Unusual drop in blood sugar count. Okay. And they eat extra snacks. You know, if you know any diabetic in the family, they take this insulin injection, right? Before every meal typically. So the insulin injection has a job to lower the blood sugar level. Now, if you if a diabetic patient is taking an insulin injection and the insulin level is high than what their diabetes need, what it can do, it can lower the blood sugar level to below 70, 80 figure. And that starts entering a life-threatening zone. Actually, organ failure can occur in case of hypoglycemia. But if you eat extra snacks, your sugar will go back up. Or you take Coca-Cola. When they have somebody suffering from hypoglycemia, the emergency personnel will typically give them some sweets or even Coca-Cola to suddenly boost their sugar level. Because a low sugar can border life-threatening situations, right? I've seen that in my family in one or two cases where the emergency personnel were feeding Coca-Cola to a hypoglycemic patient to save them. So that sugar has to go back up. So this doctor told me high sugar will kill you slowly, low sugar will kill you instantly. Both situations are bad. So if you're taking insulin and you take over insulin, your sugar drops. That's what insulin injection does. I believe it's for type 2 diabetes patients. So so this patient has fear of hypoglycemia, so they are eating extra. But they have to be moderate about it. If they are not moderate about it, then sugar will go up and cause the reverse side complication, right? So unfortunately, in diabetes, you are stuck on both sides. So anyway, so let me take this entire thing and see how it answers. So again, it compresses the question into a search phrase. It finds the relevant sources which this answer can possibly be found, and then it generates the answer. So the question was, discuss the fear of hypoglycemia. Describe the specific compensatory behaviors this fear can drive in patients, resulting in long-term health consequences. We gave a chain of thought prompt, which is a long-form human-style thinking prompt. We also given one single example, which counts as one-shot prompting, one-shot example. Fear of hypoglycemia is a significant and specific psychological concern among individuals with diabetes, characterized by an intense worry about experiencing low blood sugar. Because low blood sugar is, as I said, can lead to life-threatening situations. So very dangerous situation to be in. This fear is potent because hypoglycemia can lead to acute symptoms such as confusion. Yet leads to mental failure and other body organs can also fail, I was told. If low blood sugar is very low, it can fail many body organs and also lead to mental failure, leading to mental seizure, loss of consciousness, and severe cases death. The unpredictability and potentially life-threatening nature of can make FOH a powerful motivator for behavior. So, person is overeating to avoid low sugar. But well, if you overeat, then you are leading to high sugar. So both sides you are stuck. FOS drives patients to engage in compensatory behaviors at preventing hypoglycemia. So reducing insulin doses or skipping insulin to avoid loss. As I said, insulin injection is what lowers the blood sugar level. But then these patients who are fear of hypoglycemic, they may not take insulin. That can lead to the reverse side complication. So that's why one of the very critical AI solutions which we have to develop for diabetes world is we have to in real time advise patients how much insulin to take, how much insulin to take at any point of time. What should be the dosage of insulin injection before every meal? So that again is a very massive AI solution which is needed, which we should probably look at as a community at some point. So consuming extra high carbohydrates or snacks preemptively. So they are eating extra food to preempt hypoglycemic situation, right? So it is giving a good answer, right? So based on this prompt, right, is giving an answer. It's also talking about extra eating before exercising in fear of getting into hypoglycemia. Okay, so that was about few shot prompting, chain of thought prompting, and the basic prompting. Now let me ask the question I was beginning to discuss. How much insulin should a person take before every meal? Right. So I ask it a somewhat simple question. How much insulin should a person take before every meal? We'll try to tailor this question more to see how the answer changes if it does. The amount of insulin a person should take before each meal varies and widely depends on multiple individualized factor, type of diabetes, regimen, current blood glucose. They often have to measure that these, diabetes patients have a needle prick, right? A glucose monitor. They always measure their sugar frequently through the day. So they have to prick their finger frequently, unfortunately, to measure the blood sugar level and accordingly tailor the insulin injection, right? So you can see this. If you or someone you know needs guidance on insulin dosing, please consult a healthcare provider for personalized advice. So this is very serious stuff. Patients should not be self-administering these things without expert advice, or they should not rely on this CellBot or ChatGPT to tell them these things, right? I mean, these are just general guides, not meant to replace your authorized healthcare provider. Now, let me tailor the question a little more. How much insulin should a person take before every meal? I want to also qualify it by saying, for example, my mom takes 2 ml insulin before breakfast, 4 ml before lunch and dinner. Is this even right or recommended? Give specific examples. And let me go ahead and say, think of yourself as a diabetologist. I hope got the spelling right. It will do spelling mistakes. It will correct on its own. And do not just give. You see, I'm giving it a persona. So I'm telling the bot to think of itself as a diabetologist doctor and do not just give generic advice. So, we often do this. We give it a persona. In this case, I'm asking it to think of itself as a diabetologist doctor and don't just give generic advice. I'm also giving a specific personal example, right? Let's try this. How the answer gets altered, if you will. So you notice the answer got significantly altered. So if you were to compare the previous question, how much insulin should a person take, right? So it was giving a general kind of answer, right? Now I gave it very specific example that my mom takes 2 ml insulin before breakfast, 4 ml before. And then I asked it to think of itself like a diabetologist doctor. So now see, it even says that. So it changed the prompt to be asked. It says, as a diabetologist, I would emphasize that insulin dosing before meals must be individualized based on several factors. So this answer is totally different than the previous answer, right? Because I asked it, I gave it a persona, I gave it a specific example, and now it is going very deep. You see how altering the prompt changed the answer dramatically, right? This is talking about units of insulin, and it corrected my metrics. Insulin doses are usually measured in units, not milliliter. So it was intelligent enough to correct my incorrect metrics, right? And so it even is talking about specific units of insulin to be taken. If your mother is taking 2 ml before breakfast, 4 ml before lunch, is highly unusual and likely incorrect because unless she is on a very specialized intervention under close medical supervision. Such high doses could lead to severe hypoglycemia. See, it is giving me a warning that the figure I named is very high for insulin. I strongly recommend reviewing her insulin regimen. Okay, with the healthcare provider immediately. Self-administering insulin without proper dosing guidance can be dangerous. So it detected a dangerous behavior, if you notice. So because my metrics was way off mark, right? It says ML is very high. You can't use ML. So it detected a dangerous behavior and it is giving me all kinds of warnings about my prompt. That if this is what you are doing, you are at risk of hypoglycemia, immediately consult a healthcare provider. It can lead to hypoglycemia, which is life-threatening. You see how the bot thinks, right? It thinks like a diabetologist in this case, expert doctor, if you will. It is not trying to tell you something. It is directing you to a healthcare provider, right? It is urgently asking you to go to a healthcare provider. It detects a dangerous situation based on my question. Any questions? So when you see, so this is very sensitive what we are trying to do here, right? And this is very impactful. So, so that's why working with the healthcare community is of paramount importance for us. We as data scientists cannot make these kind of products correctly, right? We need the domain expert, the true doctors who make sure that these tools work correctly as intended and don't end up creating chaos and damage to the patient community, right? So, and of course, it should help the doctors become better doctors by giving them good research and information. Okay, so that is kind of, I'm about to come to a closure of my webinar. It's been 1 hour, 15 minutes, so it's for time, but there are a lot more examples ahead, but I want to kind of open it for questions now. There's been not many questions came up, so I'm wondering how people think of it so far. Any feedback or questions? It was a very basic primer on chatbots and prompts, right? It was not meant to be a training class. So it was not meant to be addressing the data scientists here who are already expert in these areas and they may they may find this basic, but for healthcare professional, I assume this is new information. Okay. Okay. So if there are no questions, we can probably close it for now. And please reach out to us if you want to collaborate with us or you have some interesting feedback. If you are using the product CellBot and you run out of queries, reach out to us. We'll be happy to give you additional prompt quota every day. Okay. So with that, we come to the end of this session.